It's here now. If you somehow didn't already know how evil YouTube is, this should make it absolutely clear and set the record absolutely straight. So today, there was an update to YouTube's terms of service. And of course, it's again another huge setback, another huge loss for small content creators on YouTube. So we're going to look at some of this. This is all unimportant. What's important here is the right to monetize. The new section. You grant to YouTube the right to monetize your content on the service, and such monetization may include displaying ads. And this agreement does not entitle you to any payments. Any payments. So some people are not part of the YouTube Partner Program. So some people, actually most creators I think, do not fit the requirements to actually monetize on their channel. But it used to be that if you didn't fit those requirements, there would be no ads on your channel and YouTube wouldn't pay you, but then they wouldn't be paying themselves because there would just be no ads. But now, small content creators are still not getting paid, but YouTube's gonna run ads, which means a worse experience for the customers, and they're going to make more money off of this. Can you just think about that for a second? The workers, I know when I create a video essay, that takes like 10 hours to do, and I upload it and I get like 20 views. The workers are going to spend hours and hours making quality or not so quality content, and the consumers are going to have to spend extra time watching these bullshit ads that are put on the small channels, and so the customer experience will be worse, and YouTube's gonna make money off of this. The workers spend more time, the customers lose more time, and YouTube will gain more money. I don't know how else to explain this, but this is literally how capitalism works. You have the worker class who makes all of the content, right? The creators, the content creators, they're actually what keeps YouTube running. Without them, YouTube's nothing. Most of the value on YouTube is created by the content creators, and then all of those profits that are generated by those content creators are going to get siphoned off and given to the CEOs and the shareholders and all the owners of Google. That's literally stealing. That's by definition stealing. And this is not just part of YouTube's business scheme, it's capitalism in general. That's how it works. YouTube owns the means of production. There's only one site. You want to share long-form videos to the rest of the world and share your ideas and create good content and entertain people for a low price. There's only one place to go, and that's YouTube. There's no other real alternatives that can garner you nearly as much of an audience, which means there's no alternatives that will let you actually spread your message around anywhere close to the amount you can do with YouTube. So YouTube has a monopoly. So they own the means of production, which means that they own this platform. They own the only platform that allows you to spread your message to a wide audience all around the globe. So they're basically just stepping in and gatekeeping whatever content that gets shared on their website. So even for the biggest creators, they get the most views and the most watch hours, and they run the most ads. Well, probably like 90% of all the profits that they generate are getting siphoned off and given to YouTube's executives and given to YouTube's shareholders. Those people who do nothing and don't create anything and don't do anything creative, they're getting like 99% of the profits. Now, the smaller channels, those people who don't qualify for the YouTube Partner Program, the cost of the gatekeeping, the cost to be part of the club of being a YouTube creator is 100% of all profits now. It used to be something where if they wanted to get money from you, they'd have to give a little. But nowadays, they can just come in, swoop in, and just steal all the money and run with it. Now, what can we really do? Well, realistically, in a capitalist system, we can only do so much. We could try to start a union, but that's really hard to organize online. But that's kind of what we need, isn't it? Workers have always been trying to unionize, and make sure that the profits that they generate for the owners, that they get compensated properly for it. And the fact that it's not a product that we're selling or giving to the owners, but a service, shouldn't change that. The fact that it's online shouldn't change that. So obviously, YouTube creators need a union to protect them. Obviously, since there's a monopoly here, and YouTube controls everything, they have no reason to listen to the union. Now, monetizing small creators' videos, that will give them now an incentive to listen to small creators. But that can only happen if we have collective action and we bargain together. I don't know how this will be possible. I know there's a couple of websites online that are like a YouTube union, but of course YouTube has been unwilling to listen to their demands because of course the YouTube union isn't very large, so we would need to find some way of getting a large enough membership. And the only way to do that is to basically start tearing down this capitalist system that we have. One way that we must start looking at is just calling our politicians. We should be pressuring our politicians, especially if you live in a democratic or some progressive area. You should call your politicians and tell them, hey, the workers online, the content creators are being exploited unfairly. And we need to find some way to hopefully get some sort of legislation that allows us to find some means to create a union. Because obviously when things are online, it becomes much harder to create some sort of union to actually bargain collectively. This platform is valuable. No other platform allows you to share your ideas in such a way to nearly as large of an audience. And they've got a monopoly on this. I know there's some other alternative sites, pretty unsuccessful so far. Again, pressure the politicians to try to break up Google, break up YouTube, find some way to limit the corporate power and limit the corporate greed. And ultimately, the way we would defeat all of this bullshit that's going on, is we need to transition to socialism. The owners, YouTube, they shouldn't be getting any of the money unless they're actually providing some useful service. Now, keeping up the servers, that's something, but it's not nearly enough to warrant all the pay that they're getting. So, what socialism would do is put the means of productions in the hands of the workers so that they get to decide, hey, how much is your contribution worth? Well, based on that, we're going to give you this much money. So you're not going to be able to make billions of dollars off of owning a piece of property without actually working on it and actually helping the economy, helping the consumer. All of that requires political action. I'm just a small channel. I don't know what I could do besides putting this message out there, and hopefully they don't somehow censor this message, which I think they're inclined to do these days, right? I mean, they're not necessarily shy with restricting free speech on these social media platforms, which is another problem in itself. And of course, it all stems back again to corporate profits and corporate greed, but I'm doing a small part. Hopefully there's some way to keep YouTube in check in the future. Doesn't seem like any progress will be made right now, but man, this is bad.
I'm and I approve this message.